Hey everybody, it's Coach Pete here. I hope everybody is staying safe and healthy with this pandemic that's going on. Tonight I'm going to share with you a little project that I've been working on for a few weeks. Basically it is about Noah Syndergaard, who now needs Tommy John surgery. So what I plan to do for you is go through his mechanics and give my professional opinion as to why I think his UCL gave out. But before I do that, I want to dedicate this video to Max Cusper, who about a month or so ago was in a train accident. He is now recovering. He's doing very well. Max, buddy, this is for you. Watch this close, because this is the path that we were on, and this is the path that we will continue when you get back, and you will get back. Okay, so before I get into Noah's mechanics, I want to preface this whole thing on what I know, I have learned, been taught, trained, studied, been certified, and as to what is safe mechanics, okay? So I have my own definition. My definition of safe mechanics, which allow you to pitch for a long time, is something called dominant longevity. My definition for that is just as you see, becoming the best pitcher you can possibly be, both physically and mentally, using biomechanically sound body movements in the pitching delivery that allow the pitcher to pitch dominantly and safely for as long as his physical body will allow. So I need you to kind of keep this in mind as we move forward, because I'm going to get into a little bit more of this. But the bottom line is dominantly and safely. So in that definition of dominant longevity was something called biomechanically sound. What does that mean? It's movements in the pitching delivery specifically designed to engage the entire body, taking as much stress off the arm as possible. A phrase that I use all the time with my pitching students is legs and the core feed the beast. So what are the high points of being biomechanically sound? One is a high knee lift, a butt turn, a back knee sink, which all with your weight back when you start, which creates what we call the pitcher's load. This puts the body in a perfect position to mirror the slope, ride the slide, or mirror the mound, ride it down, whatever you want to call it, which takes even more stress off the arm, creating more power in the delivery. The second high point is called the free fall, with the butt out front, which leads into the hip rotation. Along with that, you need shoulder separation or torque in the upper body. That leads to more power. You engage the core into an explosive, powerful, complete hip rotation. Your release of the ball is after you see the stripe on the pant leg and with the hand in front of the landing foot. The end of it is the complete follow through with your back parallel to the ground, and something that I call pick up the quarter, which my students will know. If you don't know what that means, is that is a complete follow through, bringing your pitching hand on the opposite side of your leg, almost picking up dirt. Okay, so that's what biomechanically sound means. Okay, so what is arm safety in pitching? Using biomechanically sound body movements in the pitching delivery designed to take stress off the arm, putting the body in a position to take advantage of the downward slope of the mound. Number two, using these two scientifically proven approaches, the pitching arm lasts longer than every other part of the body. You will not stop pitching because of an arm injury. That's the goal. The goal is that your arm stays safe, and if your body gives out, it's not your arm. That's the whole goal of dominant longevity. So this is a 7-second clip of Noah pitching, warming up for a game in a bullpen out of the stretch. So I'm just going to show you his mechanics, and then I'm going to break them down with different pictures where his body is in different positions, right? So here's Noah out of the stretch. Okay, so doesn't look too bad, right? Well, here's what I will say right off the bat. Your setup is everything. If your body is not set up to engage your core and engage your legs, you're going to be in danger. And Noah's setup, in my opinion, he's not set up for safety. It already looks like you're just looking at him and you can tell that the things that he's going to do in his body movements won't be for arm safety. In other words, the core and the legs are not going to play a major role. So how can I tell this? Because his 2 feet are even here, right? He would have 1 foot staggered to get his hip out front when he lifts, right? He's already kind of looking this way. The setup is everything, like in hitting. Your stance is everything. In pitching, your starting point is everything. So here's a still picture with 2 lines, right? His knee lift and the position of his body. The first thing that I can tell you is his knee lift is very low. Noah Syndergaard is huge. He's 6'4", 6'5". He's extremely athletic. He's very, very strong. He's probably one of the strongest pitchers in baseball. And his knee lift immediately tells me that his legs are not going to be a primary part of his mechanics. So when your legs are not into the mechanics, you are automatically putting more stress on the arm. In this photo, you'll see out front, his hips are on a bit of an angle, which is not bad, could be better, but because his knee lift is so low, it basically cancels out. So right here you can see that his legs are not going to be prominent in his mechanics. So here's Noah now going forward. His butt is not out front. He leads with his foot. There's no what we call free fall forward with the butt out front. When the butt goes out front, the core engages and you go into a hip rotation. So he's not leading with his butt. He's leading with his foot. So he literally lifts his leg up at a decent height, drops his foot down, and leads with his feet going forward instead of his butt. In the world of biomechanics, this is just not safe. The bottom line here is there is no engagement of the core. With no engagement of the core and your butt not leading the way, there will not be a powerful hip rotation, which leads to a long stride. So he lifts his knee, he drops it down, leads with his foot. His legs are out of the picture. His butt is not out front, doesn't go first, it doesn't engage his core, and the hip rotation will not be complete. All of that leaves the arm in danger. Okay, so what you see here is his land on his stride, where his arm position is and his back leg position. So what does this come down to? He has a short stride due to leading with his foot. When you lead with your foot into your stride, the stride, it can't be long because it doesn't have any power to go forward due to the lack of hip rotation and explosiveness. His landing foot, leg, and hips are all moving towards third base due to incomplete hip rotation. So what I mean is, if you look at his landing foot, it's going towards third. Look at his back foot, it's going towards third. His hips are even kind of still going towards third. He's going in the wrong direction. When he lands, his landing foot should be straight, and his body should be turning everything going straight. The biggest problem with his mechanics is what we call timing. When your front foot strikes on your stride, the arm needs to be up into the L position here and torqued behind the head. Noah's arm, it looks like it's down, but actually I've seen it over and over again, he's even. So what has to happen here? The arm has to catch up to the rest of the body. That is extremely dangerous. So instead of his bottom half, his legs and his core, driving his arm through, his arm now has to catch up to the rest of the body, and then it winds up pulling the bottom half through. His arm has to work a lot harder, therefore putting it in danger. Bottom line, he's got a short stride, incomplete hip rotation, his timing is off, all due to lack of legs and core in the mechanics. His body is built for safe mechanics. He's probably the strongest pitcher in baseball, especially in the core and his legs, but he does not implement them in his mechanics. When you don't implement the most powerful part of the body in your mechanics, your arm is abused, overused, and is always in danger. Okay, so here he is almost at his release point. There's a further example of incomplete hip rotation, right? Both the feet, the legs, the hips, and the torso are all going towards third base. So if you see this here, his landing foot still is going towards third. His trail foot is going towards third. His hips are turned towards third. And his release point is going to be somewhere up here. He's in arm whip right now. So again, this is because his arm is behind when he landed on his stride. So because of incomplete hip rotation, his body is not square to throw straight. He actually now has to make up with his arm what his legs and his core are not doing. All of this puts the arm in what I call the danger zone. The arm is working much harder than it has to. And unfortunately, in a lot of situations, most situations, it's bound to break down over time. And that's what's happened here. This is the way Noah has pitched for years and years and years. He's what I call top heavy. The top part of his body pulls the bottom half through when the bottom half should drive the top through. Okay, so here's pretty much his finish without his leg whip around. You can still see his entire lower half facing third base. If you look at his front foot, his land foot, it's towards third base. His back foot is towards third base. His hips are towards third base, right? But his upper body is now left. So what's happening? Just what I said before. This is top heavy. This means the arm is doing most of the work. This is the opposite of what safe mechanics are all about. In safe mechanics, it is the lower half, the legs and the core and the hips that drive the arm through. With Noah, he's top heavy. His upper body and his throwing arm pull his lower half through. So just think of common sense. What weighs more? Your bottom half weighs more. From your lower rib cage all the way down to your feet holds most of your weight. So if you're pulling the bottom half of your body, which is more of the mass of your weight, with your top half of your body led by your arm, you are putting tremendous stress on the arm, and it's bound to break down. So there's something else that I pointed out here. Students that say that pitchers don't trail. Well, my students know, but other people's don't. Pitchers don't trail their leg before they whip around. They do. Noah does have a trail, but if you look here, it starts out and then it fades to the right because his arm and his upper body are pulling his leg through. So eventually he has the whip around. So his trail goes this way, this way, this way, this way. It's because it's lagging behind and being pulled by something that's not as strong as the leg. When the arm pulls the leg, this is what happens. In the world of biomechanics, where arm safety is paramount, Noah's mechanics are simply not safe. His powerful legs and core play very little role in his delivery. His arm takes on the brunt of the work. That is the simplest way to put it. You're looking at a very, very powerful man who does not use his power to his advantage, making his arm do most of the work. In my professional opinion, this is why his UCL broke down, because over the course of many, many years, he's pitched the same way with very little legs, very little core, not enough hip rotation, all the things that keep you safe and keep you powerful. So, unfortunately, it was only a matter of time before he broke down. And I've read several articles and things where there were other pitching coaches 4 or 5 years ago who predicted the same thing. So those guys that I read who made those comments believe what I believe. And the biggest thing was the timing, with the arm not being in the L position when you land with the strike foot. So hopefully most of you were able to understand what I was saying and with my descriptions of dominant longevity, which is what my students are taught and what they strive for and the difference between that and what Noah Syndergaard has been doing. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot. If you're not a student of mine and you're just watching, this is really important to keep a pitcher's arm safe from a young age all the way through. This is the first of 2 that I'm going to do. My next one is going to be on Chris Sale and his mechanics and why he broke down. He's the other major league pitcher that is going to have Tommy John surgery. So, Max, buddy, I'm going to see you soon. Coach Pete out.